Hi everyone. Basically in this video I'm going to be talking about multi-dimensional living. This is a very kind of complex thing to talk about, but basically I'll kind of tell you an experience that kind of really showed me that I am simultaneously experiencing life in different dimensions. Okay, so basically when I was at school, I don't know where exactly I was. I think I was like sitting in like the hallway, like in kind of the I don't know, like a lobby or just the main kind of the core of the school or whatever. Um, and I just remember I was just like looking out, and then I just like, it was almost like a what do you call like a almost like a veil was lifted, and I was almost like I could see, like it was like almost like seeing a whole different like reality in front of me. It was almost like it was like kind of switching like almost like flashes of seeing like another kind of reality in front of me, except this reality was no reality confined on this planet. And it was almost I was looking at a different, like a just there was just everything was different. It was like one minute I'm looking at in front of me, there's just like the library and just this open space, and there's a stairwell, and then the next second it's just like this what do you call it, this like veil is lifted, and I can just see like this very, I don't even know, it just and this alien world. And I feel like with that it was really like my guides were showing me that I'm not just my in the entirety of my soul is not just embodiment in this on this planet at this particular time. I have different aspects of myself that are across almost like the universe, embodying having embodiments on those particular planets, because I what I saw was, I don't know exactly what I saw, but it was very intriguing, and it was definitely an alien race, and it was almost like I was at the, it was like almost like stepping on the, it was on the sand, and I was almost like looking like I wasn't looking towards the ocean, I was looking towards the land. And I just, there was like these in the sand was like white, and like kind of where like the sand ended, and kind of like I there was like a forest kind of started beginning. Before that, kind of the where the transition kind of is or was, I saw like these like structures, like pillars. I don't know what it was. It was, um, it, I don't know exactly. Like it was like there's just like pillars and stuff, like kind of like around the beach line, like where the forest began, and the sand ended, and I could just see beyond that. There was just like these, like above the tree line. I could, these were at a distance. I could see like these. Oh my god, it was very fascinating. It was almost like a, what I imagined, like these cities, but they didn't look like cities because they weren't just like these tall buildings, like one here, one there, like one there, like a, what you see in the cities now, like all the shapes of the what do you call, the skyscrapers very much look like a block, like a massive, like just a block or something. But this was very much like, it almost looked like that, like it had a high point, and it kind of like went down, and it didn't, there was no like, you couldn't even, it just looked like the city just looked like there was just one massive structure, and there was like several of them at like this was at a far distance, but it was very massive. I could see it. It was very far from the beach, like I could just see it because over the tree line. And there were like, there were kind of like they were almost like, it was here, and then at maybe like miles and miles afar there was another one, and then miles and miles afar there was another one. I could just see, because I could just see the top. It was almost like the top was like a triangle, the very top of the structure of the city. It's just, there was a top, and it almost looked like a triangle at the very top, and it just kind of just started expanding out. The body just started expanding out, and it was just like this, and it just, and also there was like it, I don't know how, it just like there was like like curved structures, like a little bit like curved structures. I don't know what it was made out of. Like some of it almost looked like glass, but it wasn't glass because it looked maybe a crystal or something. But because it wasn't glass, but it was very like almost like what do you call it, like see through or something, of that nature, like what you imagine like glass, but it was thick, very thick, very very thick. And it was just like there was curved like all around it, like the things were like curving, like imagine like metal that was curved. And, like I don't even know how you could do that on this planet, curved metal, especially massive metal like that. Or it wasn't even metal, like I don't know what kind of material it was. It wasn't like anything like material found on this planet. But I saw that. Well, so I saw like a being too. I saw like a being that was in front of me, and this being did not look like any human. Um, Definitely not any human, and I don't know exactly what race this was, but it seemed of a very, what I felt was definitely very peaceful race. There was embodiment of relaxation, almost felt like a vacation type thing. It was very like peaceful. It was very relaxed, like tranquil, you know. There was no like restlessness. There was no like fast paced like go 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 like on Earth, you know, like go go go. I have to do this. I have to do that. It's like kind of just casually, just kind of just very relaxed, just kind of walking, you know, very mellow, you know, not in a rush, not, you know, it's almost like there was nothing really to do, you know, type thing. It was just like, kind of like, it was just, you do what you in the moment, you know, we feel guided to do in the moment, you know, kind of like a vacation, you know, and that's what I saw when I was in that flashes. It was almost like I was going in and out. I could see the library and the stairwell and my reality, and then I was in another reality, and I feel like that was really my guide showing me that really there I'm experiencing simultaneously. I have these embodiments all, like it's not just this is my one experience I'm having, and that I can access and tap into these other. It's almost like I don't know what to describe it, but it's almost like I'm saying hello to my other self in that other world. You know, it's almost like I'm checking up and seeing how things are going. It's weird. It's like I imagine like some of like I being a guide to my other self that is in another world. It's really weird. Like I said, it's very complex and very far out there, but it is kind of like that where it's like I envision myself, especially in my dream state and even in my meditative state, kind of like in my unaware state, you know. I envision myself almost like as a guide to that other aspect of me that is experiencing life on that other planet or the other planets, while simultaneously as I am experiencing life. Almost like I'm a guide to them and they're like a guide to me, and we check up on each other. It's weird because even when I was in meditation today, I just was sitting up kind of Indian style, you know, and I was just listening to music, and I just swear there was like it was like almost like a clone of me sitting next to me, sitting Indian style, and the person was like looking, that was me, looked just like me. I mean, the same clothes, everything, the hair, and the same mannerisms, and they're just sitting there, and I could swear they were in the corner of my eye, and they were just like waving at me. And I was like, that is really weird. That is very weird. And then I saw like some weird, like almost like you know, in that fun house with all the mirrors, and I saw like a bunch of me's, like sitting here and then there and then there and then like other angles, and like like it's really weird. And I feel like it's really, my guides are trying to show me, in a way that I can comprehend, is that this isn't just it, you know, that I'm not just here on Earth at this time living this one linear experience, you know. There's just so many things I'm experiencing like simultaneously right now, and it's really weird. It's almost like when you do have those like flashes. I mean, I've never had a flash like that happen, but it almost brought me back. I don't know why I forgot to just share this dream, but I had a dream long ago. I think of this maybe senior year, I mean, not too long ago, maybe a year ago, senior year in high school. And I was in my school. No, I wasn't even in my school. I was in some weird school. I don't know where I was. No, was I? No, I could outside. It looks like this, like the outside parking lot looked like my school, but when I got in the actual building, it did not look like my high school. It looked very, very different. The library, everything, it looked extremely different. Not like my high school or any high school I've ever even been in my life. And what happened is there was this. Oh my God! It was like this. There was a UFO type thing. Like, I mean, this is like the first, like, I don't know. There was like we were all in school, and there was just like some UFO thing, just like some craft or something was like over our school, or something happened where we were all just like, I mean, there was this huge, like, in the school, people like running around, and people like just like, what, like, shocked. Like, it was almost like the first documented experience of UFOs coming down to, you know, the planet or something, but it was only a single. And what happened was I was in the library, and this library was never nothing. It looked like this planet, like a library or a school you can find on this planet. It didn't look anything like otherworldly, but the there was, I don't know, something, and almost like the library, the ceiling was like made out of glass or something. It was very, very like structurally looked very intriguing. Like, it could have not even been from this planet, because it looked similar, but it looked very different as well. But the glass, there was like something came down and broke the glass, and it was a being. It was like a being. I don't even know where that being came from, but and this was before we even knew what was going on. Like, I feel like there were some people in the school knew like something like was happening, because like I feel like there was something going on outside, but I wasn't aware. Like, half of the people, it's only like a certain people were aware, and other people didn't know, because the news didn't catch up yet. The news didn't catch up. It didn't spread quick enough for that to happen. So what happens? The glass broke, and this being, I don't know, it looked like a ball of energy. I don't know, it looked like I don't even know what it was. Just like a heavy, like a ball, like almost like a light, or just like almost, I imagine, crystal with like the light kind of like, you know, when you put light on crystals, it kind of like does like rainbows or something, and it came down and it just landed like right. It didn't harm like anybody, but it just like fell right like in the library, and kind of like destroyed a little bit of the bookshelf and stuff like that, and everybody's just attention was looking at it, and then all of a sudden it was just like this huge ball. Like, it didn't look like a ball. It was very much I don't know what it was, like a oval. Yeah, it was more like kind of like an oval or something, like an oval. Like, it didn't look like a perfect ball. It was like it had an oval shape. It wasn't a perfect shape, you know. It was not perfect at all. Like a kind of like almost like not a tear, but a little bit like that, like an oval or something. And then all of a sudden we were looking at. First of all, we couldn't even process what was going on. We didn't know what it was at all. We just all stopped. You know, we were not freaking out or anything. That's why I was saying it didn't feel very much like it felt like it was Earth, and it didn't feel like this was this planet, because people were very calm. They were not running around scared and like, you know, like what I imagine Earth, you know, let me go get my gun, or, you know, let me, you know, people freaking out and stampedes and all that stuff. No, it was very relaxed. People like were very relaxed about it. I mean, they were very intrigued and very like hyped up about it. That's what they were. They weren't scared. So what happened? Everyone stopped, and then this oval thing just transformed, like weird, just started like transforming. And that's when I knew it was like plasma or something. Like, plasma wasn't solid, and it took a form of like this alien being, this alien female. and she looked very like plasma too, like white. It didn't look like he had a, like it had a, like a, I don't know what it was. I knew it was a woman or a female, and but the shape, it was a female shape. It didn't, like, I couldn't see like a face, especially when she was like transforming from that oval kind of plasma structure thing, like wasn't even solid form, like more so close to like liquidy, or but it was almost like close to like a crystal or something, transformed. And then it was very fascinating because it was she, I was not even that far away, and this alien thing or whatever it was, it's very hard to describe this because it's very very difficult. So I don't think I have enough vocabulary to really describe what I'm trying to describe. And she looked right at me, and it was like she knew me, and it was like all of a sudden it was just like her attention was just all focused on me very much. Everybody was intrigued by that. Everybody was like looking at that light figure, that being figure that didn't really have a face. It was just had like it just, you knew it was kind of like a female body. You just knew. It was, you couldn't even tell. Like, I didn't see hair or anything, but it had like a structure, kind of like a woman, you know. And then just the being was, you could just feel, like, I couldn't see eyes or anything, but you could just feel she was like there for me or something like that. She was there visiting me or something. And everybody was just looking, standing up, eyes big, just like, what is going on? Because it was like the first encounter, like, it was like, I don't think that world really experienced much of alien visitation, on a micro level. So it was very weird. And then she was just there to really see me. It was almost like I felt energy of she was checking up on me, and it's almost like it was the first, all I knew is the first micro level encounter that was basically in a public kind of, like, almost like, I feel like that race, I literally felt like that race was making themselves known for the first time to people, to that, I mean, it could have been a dream, but now I'm thinking, I don't even think it was really on this planet. Because that civilization looked very similar to this civilization, but they were more advanced because they were ready to encounter, to have that alien race come down and present themselves to the world, not just to individuals. They were ready to really show themselves, which now when I look at it, that civilization, that planet was very similar to Earth, but it was more evolved. It was like maybe 1,000 years of Earth time right now, like 1,000 years older than this planet, or even 2,000 years older than this planet. They weren't extremely advanced. Their structures were very kind of similar, but they were, like I said, 1,000, 2,000 years and more advanced. But they weren't like the Octorians, where it's just this, like, it looks like it's billion years advanced, So it was very much like that, because they were ready. I just knew in that dream that society I was in, that world, that reality, they were ready to have that alien race present themselves to the world, because they weren't gonna freak out and let me go get my gun, because they reached a level of like peace. They weren't as peaceful as like I imagine like the Octorians, but they've reached this level in their evolution of peace. They've reached this evolution of peace that I know it within like 1,000 years that Earth is going to get to. They still, like, it's just very fascinating. Because even in the sky, I just remember people looking up at the sky through the window and just seeing these like crafts, like there's multiples everywhere in the sky, and they were, I'm not even going to describe the crafts, because this is going to be like an hour-long video, because the crafts were not of just what you call like spheres, or what do you call, like discs. They were different kind of, they look like, again, they look like of like a not of a solid form. They looked like they could like change forms, like a liquidy, but not of a liquid, like a crystal. But it was just, I don't even know what to describe. But they could change forms. It was very different. It was not of like material like metal or anything like that. It was very like it almost like it was like shifting the structure itself. It didn't even look like a structure. It was because it was constantly shifting, like moving, pulsating, vibrating. It made like a humming noise too. Like you people outside, they were like listening. It was like a humming, like a vibration noise, like a frequency. It was very bizarre. And she started walking towards me, and I don't even know really what she said because she was like communicating to me telepathically, and I just knew, I got this feeling that she was me. Um, it was very weird. She was like me or something, but like, she was that version of me that was simultaneously experiencing life in a different world. That was a more higher evolved a world that had, technology such as, spaceships and things of that such. I don't think the civilization I was in, we had, I think we didn't have spaceships, but I feel like we were kind of a little bit close to it. But I feel like the society we were kind of going in the wrong direction with our technology, especially in the rocket science and things of that such, and the spacecrafts. We're kind of going in the little wrong direction. I felt like in that society, we were kind of trying to figure it out. Like we were very close, much closer than what I feel we are today. I mean, it was just, we still just weren't there. We weren't ready. I don't think we were ready, and I feel like we needed them to, that alien race. I feel also they came to help us with that, because I feel like we got a little bit stuck with our science and and spacecraft science, that kind of technology. We're kind of a little bit stuck, kind of a little bit going in circles a little bit with that. But it was just, she was me, and I knew she was. She was just light. I don't even know what to describe. She was just light, embodiment of light. She had a figure that looked like a figure of me, woman, just like a woman, except there was no eyes. It was just light, kind of just like light, and very fascinating. And she just like walked towards me, and everyone was fascinated. And then I just remember we were just like telepathically communicating, but I don't know what we were talking about. But all I knew is she was there. She was telling me that she was me, and that she was, I don't know, maybe she was a council member or something. She was something of a leader. Like she was a part of like a group of leaders for her race. Um, like it was a group of leaders that were very evolved. It's just like these, but the thing is, everybody felt like they were like, it wasn't like like everybody, but it was like a community. Everybody had an input, on 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 the planet itself. Like everybody had an input, like it had to say and what direction the planet's gonna go, what's gonna happen, like it wasn't even Disney. There was no like government. It was very much it was just like the whole society had like community meetings or something. It was like everybody had a say in like what would happen, but there was these leaders, like these council members that were very wise and very much had like this, what is it, that word, is satric records, satric, I can't pronounce that, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. That these council members had these very in-depth, like I like to say, file cabinets, for the satric records, and they had these very, like these council members had this very like massive database of things, wisdom that they have accumulated over their travel time through space and time, on their lifetimes. They've had all this wisdom and knowledge, got this huge data. They were like almost like a large computer, but even more complex than the computers we have. It was just, the data was can't even be compared to the computer's database. It was massive data that these council members had, that they, yeah, so it was basically, I feel like she was a part of like one of the council members, like a leader, and she was very wise, and she was just like making herself known. And then it was just weird because we were just all she was like walking, I was like showing her around in like the school, and there was massive crowds of people surrounding us, like students, and they were not like what I imagine people here, like running around, oh, the world's gonna end, aliens take over the world, and let me get my gun, stampede, let me do whatever I can, let me go break into the supermarket and get food, and let me drive crazy and kill as many people as I can driving to steal food from the soup. No, it was not like that at all. People were very relaxed. They were more intrigued. They were like, almost like imagine what do you imagine, like a celebrity walking through like a street. Everybody was just like intrigued, like, oh my gosh, like they wanted conversations. They were like taking, like they had pen and paper, and they were trying to take notes, and like writing observations, if the person would say anything, and just people were very intrigued. Like we had crowds of people following us, like students, and it was pretty fascinating. We were just walking. I was showing her around, and again, she was still light. She was just light. She didn't look like she didn't look like any of us. We looked like humans. We looked like what humans look on this planet. And we were very young. We were like, I think we were maybe like what high school age, and people were just very intrigued. I was showing her around, and I just knew that was going to change everything. That day was going to change everything, because they came down from their planet they showed themselves for the first time. I knew that. They showed themselves for the first time, and that was the day. That day would probably be remembered forever on that planet, because that was the day that alien race came down, and that was the first day alien race ever presented itself to the globe. No more, to the globe, and not just, individuals like in their dreams, or, to individuals like in the middle of nowhere living in those little country towns, or, nobody really, this was a major school, and this was in a major area. This was a major kind of like a not a city, but like a suburbs or something. And I just knew that it's almost like she was like, I got that feeling we would be working together or something. We would be working together, because I was like, why is she, I was like, I didn't know why she was like talking to me, like what's so fascinating about me. I was like, why is she here talking to me? But it was because she was me, and it, and the civilization that I lived on, that version of me, which is weird, that they were ready. They were ready to have that race reveal themselves on a macro level to the whole globe, have it public. And it was just very, I don't know why I brought up that dream, but I think it's because that dream is really just an experience and a kind of an example of how I am living experiences simultaneously, in different dimensions. And that dream, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that hasn't happened yet. I don't know, maybe that has happened. I have no clue. Maybe in my past or on another planet when I was existing, but I feel like that is something that is to come. Not in this particular lifetime, though. That's, I don't know what, like with time on this planet, there's no such thing as time as other planets. So I feel like that's so weird. Like there's no future and there's really no past. It's just like time in this world it's not what it is, in the universal flow of time, or concept of time. So I feel like that dream that I was having, I feel like that might have been taking place. Oh, it's weird. I feel like with that, when I was having that dream a year ago, I feel like that dream that might have been happening around that time I was having that dream, that kind of, that situation where that being, that the woman, the, I don't even know, it just feels like they're all versions of me was talk. I was just like, this is like really bizarre, and sometimes I feel like crazy or something, but I just know that this is the level of expansion we're meant to get to. This isn't even like the cap of expansion. And I feel like during that time I was having that dream, I felt like that might have been taking place, where that version of me who was in that school on that other planet that looked very similar to this planet, and the schools that looked very similar, but it was, and then that being came down and presented itself. It was not just presenting herself to that the girl in the school that was me, but it was like presenting itself to the whole globe. It was just a very significant moment in the time, in that planet's history, that moment. So I just like this is very, trying to explain this is very bizarre, but very complex, and but I hope you guys like this video, and I hope it kind of kind of awakens something, in you guys, that you're not just you. Your body you see right now in the mirror, or you look down, you're more than just this. This is not just you. Your soul is not just comprised within this body. It's too expansive for that. So, bye.